Welcome to RC Industry. Hey, it's Rick here. I thought we'd make a video on how to lay floor tile. I got this bathroom, the upstairs bathroom here at the 10th Street property, ready to do some floor tile, so I thought maybe I'd go over all that with you, and we'll see once how we get along with that. I'll tell you how I do it and the reasons I do what I do, and you guys can decide whether you think it's right or wrong. But I've been doing it that way for about 35 years, so I'd say that I haven't had any issues. Anyway, I'll say it that way. So, all right, show you more. All right. Well, there's Fred.
Be sure to pick up those wonderful.
Are you going to do anything today, Fred?
Peanut mustard parfait.
All right.
Be sure to get the candy cane chill.
Okay. Well, I guess we better get the radio shut off, or we'll
Try the EQ base.
probably impose on somebody's copyright or something. So wouldn't want that. All right. Okay, so I think I talked about the floor. We laid this 1/4-inch concrete tile down over this 3/4-inch tongue and groove flooring that's up here in this upstairs, and I took thin set and coated the floor with thin set, then put the sheets of these 3x5 sheets of concrete board down and screwed them about every 8-10 inches. So that's all secured on the floor. I got the Schluter system put in the shower today, and you guys can Google or YouTube Schluter systems, and they'll show you how to put all this in. This makes a nice watertight envelope, all this, and you just put your tile right over it and grout it in, and it works really well. They make floor systems too, and a lot of them I put in. I will buy the floor pan, and you can do on these custom showers and stuff that I do for people. We do gravel waterfall looking kind of thing down, and then fill the grit bottom up. But this is just a house I'm fixing up to sell, so I'm just using a plastic floor pan, and you can actually buy plastic shower walls to put in this particular floor pan. Let me speak correctly. Or you can do what I've done, and you can tile over to it. I think we talked about I was going to put some plywood in back here, and you can see I've got some 1/4-inch plywood behind the 1/2-inch Schluter board. And the reason for that is to take up the gap at the bottom, so that when this wall comes down, that it doesn't tilt in. I want it to be straight down, because when we lay the tile, everything needs to be square. So anyway, that's why that's there. And then of course these have got seals around them, so no water can penetrate back into the wall, or at least that is the plan. So now let me show you what I've got for tile for the shower itself. I'll kind of lay it out here. What we're going to do is, this is going to be like the border, the very first row of tile in the shower on the walls, and then we'll come in with this subway tile, and we'll do probably an on third pattern, because I like to stay with the thirds. So we'll do something like this, and then and fill it all in, because if you go half, then you've got to make sure that you keep all of everything perfect in line. And if you do thirds, by the time you go up so far, you can't really see if your lines get off. So that's kind of why I do that. And then probably once we get up by the shower controls, then I'll run another row of this around as a border, just to kind of give it something, so it's not all just white. And my original idea was to use this 18-inch floor tile I have, that's the same as this, as the floor in there, but I don't have enough of it. and I can't seem to find any of it anywhere. So what I'm going to do is use this. I went out to Home Depot and took my samples with me, and I got this stuff for 87 cents a square foot, and it looks of course, you know, the corner's chipped on it, so, you know, I will have to, hopefully they're not all broken like that, and it doesn't look like they are. So, but we'll probably come in here and do something like this, where we have it on a diagonal, and then will kind of do something like that. That's probably what we'll do in here on this floor, and it'll give it sort of a marble, but it's not real marble. Real marble can get slick. This is a ceramic tile, and it's got a rough kind of texture to it, so when you get out of the shower over here and you step out on it, you know that you don't slip and crash and burn, so we don't want that. So anyway, okay, whenever I get this all laid out, I will show you how I mix up the mortar or the thin set, and I'll show you how we get the first row started in the shower, because what we'll do is we'll get the first row put in, and then probably maybe a row or two above that, and then we let it set overnight, because I don't like to stack. When you start stacking all that weight on top of fresh, you know, I like to make sure it's not going to slide at the bottom. So that's the way I always do it. I always put a row or two around the bottom base and let it set for 24 hours, and then come back and then build on top of that. So I'll show you that, and I'll show you how we use the wet saw to cut this tile. And we actually have a transition piece that will go underneath the tile here across, that'll have a little finished lip here, so that way whenever we run our new floor, which will be some sort of snap together flooring here up to this, then we can just caulk it and it'll look, you know, finished out. So anyway, all right, I will show you more.
Because you will get the one kid that's
okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the camera down so you can see, and then I'll show you. But this is the tile we're going to run the border around the bottom of the tub with. And then this is a piece of cardboard that we're going to cut a template out around this little area here, and then we'll transfer that design to the tile, and we'll take it over to the tile saw and cut it. So I'm going to show you how I do this. And the reason I use a template is you can measure and do all that kind of stuff. I like to do a template around places like this. Probably not going to do anything up here, but sometimes if I've got recessed areas where I've built shelves or something into the shower, I will use a template if I need a special cut. But this is probably something that I wanted to show you, and so here, I'm going to lay this down and let you guys watch here. Hopefully you can see this. Make sure it's looking at what I'm looking at. It looks like it is. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is come up here with my... See, what I was talking about is the tile will set up here like this. See, the first row. Okay? And we've got to notch out this tile across here so that it sets on up to this area. So, being said, we have our template here, or our cardboard, and I usually use a felt marker or a Sharpie. Today's generation calls them Sharpies. These were felt markers back in the day, but like so many other words that are no longer the same, this is one of them. So I'm going to transfer my design here so that I know, and I'm making a mark here in line with that mark, so I can move over to try to get to this edge here. So I'm going to fill this in as much as I can. Okay, so then I'm going to lay it down here, and I'm going to come up across here so that I know that that is my area. And then I'll take me a straight line And we're going to transfer this little hump. This little hump that we did, we're going to transfer that right up here. And that is about here, which is come on up to there. So somewhere along in here.
Well, actually, you know, what they did find 8 weeks ago, and they're still getting lower.
So something like that is probably what we're going to have. So let me trim that out. And I like to use my knife here. And yes, I know I'm pulling the knife towards me instead of away, so I don't want to get cut. Let's see how close that is. Okay, that's pretty good. I want to tweak this just a little bit, so. Oh, I didn't realize it fell over there a little bit, so. Okay, so what this does, we got our notch, and we got just enough gap there. Because this pan goes clear up into here. So any water that gets in here is going to run down into the tub and out the drain, or into the pan and out the drain. So we're just trying to make this look somewhat presentable here. So let me see. I'm going to trim just a little of this right here.
So if I woke up in your shoes and your house was paid for, I wouldn't be borrowing on your home to go buy rental property. And effectively, if you buy rental property that you could have paid off your house with, it's the same thing.
There, see? Got about the same even gap everywhere. So, and probably if I take it over here, yeah, see, it's the same over here. So, because this is the same design, so looks like it'll work on either side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer that design up here on this tile, just like so. And I'll draw this line right across here. Maybe. So thus, like this.
You'll have the money faster to buy that. Where those two cash
okay. So now I'll take it over to the wet saw and we'll cut up here, and I will cut the line out, because if you look at the way this is, I want the cut here, but when you trace around it, then you've got the gap from the marker, so you want to cut on this side of the line and cut the line out all the way around. So, alright, I'll show you how to cut that out. Okay, I've just got this little tile saw that I use when I do a big job for somebody, or even if I'm doing a big job for myself. I rent one down at the local rental center. But for a job like this with just minimal cuts, and especially on small tile, this thing works really good. I've had trouble recently getting the right width saw blade, wet blade, because if you've got a thin one, which is what this one is, it rubs on the guide. It doesn't rub, but it doesn't cut the groove in the tile wide enough. So, because this saw is quite old, and I know you can probably get the blade someplace, but locally I haven't been able to find one. So what I did was I ground this down, this piece here, so that it's the same width as my saw blade. So anyway, had to do some modifications on it. This thing has water in it, and so when you turn it on, of course, it flings water all over you just like it did now because I did not have this down. So anyway, with that being said, I will show you how I cut this. Okay, now obviously this blade does not cut circles. And so we're at an angle here, which will be fairly easy to cut. And then we need to cut the edge off of this one all the way across. And then we're going to have to notch this out. And I'll show you how I do that.
So we had 47,000 in student loan.
Okay, so what we got is, you can see I made my cut and straight across here, and now I'm going to come in and start making little notches across here, and then I will take my saw blade and just kind of rub it through there to grind that smooth. So I don't know if I can get this to where you can see that very well or not, but try it and see how that works. Okay, you can kind of see that I made some little notches through there. Those will all break out now, and then I'll take my saw and just kind of slide it back and forth to smooth that out. Okay, so you can see I got my notch and the angle that we need. So hopefully it fits. So let's go see. Okay, so we got this piece in here. And you can see that will just be just about right. Time to get that all lined up. So what we'll do at this point is we'll get the rest of these cut for this perimeter, and once we get the rest of these cut, and you got to be careful, that's starting to fall off of that netting. So once we get the rest of these cut, then I'll show you how to mix up some thin set, and we'll set this first row. Alright, show you more. Okay, I'm getting ready to mix up some thin set, but I kind of wanted to show you, these are spacers, different sized spacers for different size of tile, different size of grout lines. There's even some really tiny ones in here. And then these are 1/4 inch ones, pretty much that's used for floor tile. But you don't have to have that size. But anyway, I kind of wanted to show you the spacers I've got. And of course these are the gloves that I always use. They're really nice and heavy duty. They don't tear up, and they're oil resistant and all kinds of stuff like that. So when you're cleaning with heavy duty cleaners, they don't break down. So, and then there's 2 or 3 different grout tile, or thin set tools. I use this one for floor tile because it's got a nice 1/4 inch groove. This is a float. You use this when you're putting the grout in. And this is the bracket that goes with that saw up there, but I don't ever use it. I just freehand everything. And then of course we've got sponges we use when we're wiping the grout down. And then this is a tool that is used to mix up the thin set or grout, whatever you want to use it for. I've got 2 of them actually. This is the one I use for grout. And then the other one is downstairs that I use for mixing up the thin set. So let's go down here. Fred, if you would do something, maybe you would mix up this grout for me. No, he's not going to do it. Okay. All right. And this is the trowel that I use for small tile. As you can see, it's an 1/8 inch kind of a notch tile, or notched trowel. Let me get the words said correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this thin set and Detra set, or whatever this stuff is called. This is what I've got a bunch of this left over from another job. We're going to mix some water with it, and I've just got a regular drill that I use with my tool in it. So let me get set up here and I'll show you how I mix that up. Now you can follow the directions on the bag here if you want to. I don't. You put water with it, you let it set, you stir it up, you let it set for 5 minutes, and you run the mixer through it again, and you're ready to go. So I'm going to pour a little water in there. Let's see if I can show you here. It still needs a little water. Now, mixing small amounts like this is good, because if you do get it too thin, then you can always add more thin set to it. So, alright, this really takes 2 hands, so I'm going to set this down and I'll show you when I get done. Okay, I got that mixed up, and it's been setting for about 4 or 5 minutes, so I'm going to mix it up one more time. And you can see that that's kind of the consistency of like something you would ice a cake with, and that's what you want. So, and mixing up small batches like that, if you were going to do a big job, right, had it all laid out and was going to go, I'd mix up a bigger batch. But working by myself, answering the phone, doing all that kind of stuff, I have to kind of mix it in small patches. And the reason I use this Detra set is because that is the that Schluter Curdy system that I used for these showers. That's the thin set that they recommend with their product. So, and it adheres to all types of ceramic, porcelain, and stone. So, really, it's pretty much a universal, and it's indoor-outdoor. So, won't freeze and bust in the wintertime. So, anyway, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good product. They don't pay me to sponsor that. I'm just telling you that's what I use. So anyway, all right, I'll get this upstairs and I'll show you how to set that first row of tile in.
Oh, way to go, Jenny.
Okay,
All right.
so as you can see, I got the rest of these cut and got them laid out in here. And normally I would work with my my cardboard piece in here, but I've got to be able to get down to this row. And then once I get this row in and it gets dried overnight, well, actually tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so I probably won't be over here tomorrow, but Friday I'll be back over here and then I'll start laying the rest of the tile up. And at that point I will put the cardboard back in so that I don't want anything to fall down in here and damage this. I mean, it's tough, it's not going to break it, but I don't want to scratch it up. You know, I want it to look decent. So, alright, so we're going to take a little bit of thin set here.
Absolutely beautiful.
We're going to get this put on here.
When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, when you
And again, I'm using this smaller trowel, 1/8 inch or whatever this thing is considered, because I want
and you don't have to be down out.
more contact to the smaller tiles. The bigger tiles, especially on the floor, you've got, they're built with ridges. Most floor tiles are built with ridges in the back of them, so you actually get a good surface with that. So, alright. Now obviously I went too far with that, but I'll scrape it off. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so I'm going to take my first row here. And I'm going to lay this up on here, just like so.
It's just going to be bad. But when you have that moment, that's it. I've had it. Jenny had it. You can tell the arbitrary. She had got the shame and the condemnation and not being able to do the stuff.
Okay. So I've got that about how I want it.
But herself, she just worried about what she could do for somebody else. And that caused her.
So if you look at this, you can see that I've got a straight line across here. Of course, I'll clean all that off. And then I'll just continue on around and get that first row put up there. Now when I put this next one in, I'm going to put a spacer in there so that I've got the same grout distance here. So I'll show you that.
The discipline is because you had it. I'm not living like this anymore.
The Dave Ramsey Show coming up next on 990 AM and 99.1 FM WITV.
Okay, so what I want to do is take my spacers,
Interest rates are exceptionally low, so you're missing.
and I just happen to know that these are the same distance as that, so I'm going to go over here, and now I already can't even tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right here, yeah, it's a little bit of a gap there that needs to be widened up.
No full refinance. This means
And we'll stick that spacer in there.
they will shoot straight with you. Yes, Churchill can offer loans with no closing costs, different down payment options, or of course,
Make sure we press that in good.
the difference is you can trust my friends at Churchill. You know.
And then we'll take the rest of this excess off.
.com. Do it today while rates are low.
This is a big advertisement. NSIP 1591. Consumer access. Equal housing. 761.
There we go.
Free Boulevard, Brentwood, Tennessee. 370.
Okay. All right. So you can see that we got a good start on it. And the reason I'm going to go over this again. The reason I do a first layer in my tub or showers or whatever I'm doing, I want this to set for 24 hours minimum. That way it's really adhered. It's not going to move. And then we can go in with our, in this case we're going to use subway tile, and we'll stack all that all the way up. and it won't, the weight of it won't push down and cause this bottom row to get crooked. Because I've done it before, and I see professionals all the time. They work with it, but I just like to have it solid so I don't have to worry about it. You know, I've got a good straight edge all the way across here, and I want it to stay that way. So, all right. Well, I will show you the rest of this when I get it done, and that ought to be possibly Friday. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to hit that like button and share the videos. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We actually have quite a few subscribers now on our DuBois County Flips. Or DuBois County Flip is the name of the channel. That's just got all the houses on it. RC Industry channel, so continue to watch it. It'll have all the houses too, but it also has other videos on it. So if you're just wanting to watch the houses we do, then you want to subscribe and watch the DuBois County Flips. So anyway, I'll flash that up on the screen here at the end so you can see the name of it, and you can go to that website, or that, I always call it a website, you know, I'm old school. You can go to that channel on YouTube and watch all that. So anyway, thanks for watching. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Bye.
I was walking down the street, I was minding my own affair.
Run, Tallulah, run!
Hi, baby.